What's up, guys, and welcome back to the TI5 American Qualifiers. We are in Game 2 between Unknown and eGamersX, and Unknown currently hold a 1-game lead. If they win this, they're going to the secondary qualifiers, where they have to battle even tougher teams for a spot to go to Seattle. But, well, after Game 1, they're looking pretty good, or at least a little bit better than eGamers. We'll see if eGX, though, can bring it back. I'm Mikelorus, one of your casters for this game. GrandisV should still be here as well. What are your thoughts on the last game?
It really just looked good for Unknown. The distribution of farm was on point, and there was a spot in the game where the Shadow Fiend really just couldn't die, or if he did, it came at very dire losses for the eGamers side. Their lineup was pretty all in, and when you go for something so aggressive with like Viper, Undying, and Bloodseeker as your core, you really need to get off to a roaring start. And although they did have an advantage in kills, it was only slight and was eclipsed by the fact that they weren't farming as well and had to roam so very heavily. So I think that game just comes down to eGamers not being able to play the game that they really wanted to.
Right, so in this game, we'll see if they can actually get the game that they're going to want to play. Queen of Pain was banned out. Gyrocopter, same thing, I believe, in the first phase. Slark is going to be a new phase. Looks like Shaker going to be let through this phase. Was Io banned out first last time? I don't
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, well, I guess these teams just not going to run that. Usually that's something you have to be very aware of, but it's going to actually be Visage to take the hit. Excel's Visage, it got so much farm somehow. I have no idea where he found all that gold, but he got a very quick Aghanim Scepter, and man, those familiars were a pain.
It's going to be a Storm Spirit instead for the Unknown side, something they have been throwing mid every once in a while. In fact, I'm pretty sure they started with a Storm Spirit Templar Assassin earlier, having the Storm Spirit farm in the safe lane. It's unclear where he's going to end up laning, but regardless, a strong hero for Unknown to start fights on their own terms.
And if you first pick a Storm Spirit, it clearly says that you're comfortable with the hero. It also clearly says to eGamers, hey, you should probably pick up some CC, else the Storm Spirit is going to run you over. Earthshaker, a pretty decent start at that, especially when the Storm Spirit is pre-level 6. Being able to fissure him into, I don't know, like a Shadow Fiend walking forward for 2 raises, those types of plays are huge assets for the eGamers side. And based off of what we saw in the last game, they very quickly balled up as 4 players and just went around the map together, killing off anyone who they could find. Shaker is a great hero that fits into that, because all they need is just one fissure, and then that fight is going to erupt.
It's going to end up being a Templar Assassin for eGamers this time around. The Earthshaker can protect the TA pretty well inside the mid lane, and the mid lane matchup between Storm Spirit and Templar Assassin is already pretty even, I want to say. Storm Spirit and Templar Assassin both seem to find their farm inside that matchup, with no major killing potential for either side without rotations.
And it is going to be a little bit difficult for just the Earthshaker to set up for a kill on the TA, or on the Storm Spirit with the TA. Fissure into TA damage, it might be enough if you get a perfect fissure block, but that's, again, a lot to ask for. But regardless, eGamers is going to grab that hero. Both the TA and Storm Spirit are heroes that are prone to be hard countered, or pretty hard countered, in the over the course of a draft. So Unknown definitely going to be looking for small sources of damage that come out really quickly. Poison kind of spells, and for eGamers, well, TA, not exactly the best versus Storm Spirit. She can hold her own. It's going to be a little bit difficult perhaps for the Storm Spirit to crack through that refraction and then get the kill, but a little bit easier now that they pick up the Lion. A great pick for them, and a great ban against eGamers as well.
Yeah, it does function in that fashion, although maybe Templar Assassin can block the brunt of the burst damage coming out from the Lion. Just the raw amount of CC is amazing that you get from that hero. That said, unless the Lion gets a decently timed Blink, Force, Ghost Scepter, pick 2, pretty much up against the Templar Assassin, he could end up just being bursted down at the start of every single engagement if Unknown do fall behind. But if they get ahead, and he does get a very fast Blink Dagger, or Blink Hex Initiation is so reliable and combos very nicely with the Storm. In general, just a really solid first 2 picks from both teams, in all honesty.
So eGamers, they still need a little bit more CC. Earthshaker is a good start for your CC chain, mostly because of his range of initiation from the fissure, but you really need someone else to follow up. That hero would have ideally been Lion, because between Hex, Spike, and Finger of Death, that's like the perfect anti-Storm Spirit suite. Not to mention the Mana Drain as well, that's also really good versus Storm Spirit, but clearly not going to be the pick here for eGamers. Whatever is not banned out as far as supports is concerned, for Unknown, eGamers are going to have to grab as fast as possible, because Unknown would also like to grab those heroes. I'm seeing a Disruptor in our future in some way, shape, or form.
Disruptor, Scarith Mage, and Rubik are the ones on my radar at the moment. For either team, they'd be pretty good. Just anything with some reliable lockdown for the Storm Spirit for the eGamers side, or any quick stun. Rubik especially for Unknown would be pretty nice, as there's an Earthshaker on the enemy team and does combo pretty nicely in the chain disables that are offered from the line, making up for the fact that Rubik is a pretty low damage support.
And so Rubik also a consideration. There are always going to be support heroes with stuns that you can grab. Some of them obviously a little bit better than others. Unknown, I believe, no, they were going up against the Shadow Shaman in their previous set, so I mean, it's still an option, I suppose, but maybe a little bit more clunky than you would really like for both these sides, really. Super mobile heroes, then suddenly Shadow Shaman, who doesn't really move very quickly, doesn't really go many places, but it's actually going to be a Juggernaut to be banned out. I actually didn't see this one coming. I mean, Storm Spirit, pretty survivable versus the Juggernaut, and Lion, once he gets his Blink Dagger, also a great hero to get in before the Juggernaut's really ready.
I think the Lone Druid ban's on point from eGamers. With the Juggernaut ban, the first hero that comes to mind is somebody that's absolutely ripped apart by burst physical damage. That said, there's already a Templar Assassin on the pool, so I'm not sure really where the Juggernaut would have fit in, or if it would have fit in any better than another hero. It's going to be Rubik for eGamers, so they do have that Telekinesis and Instant Disable for the Storm Spirit, and plenty of spells to steal, mostly from the Lion. Most everything you get from him is pretty good this game. Mana Drain, of course, the least of those three basic abilities, but even Mana Drain is reasonable against Storm.
So seeing the Rubik, I don't think the game plan from Unknown is going to change all that much. Again, it's one stun into another stun into Templar Assassin damage. The two heroes, the two support heroes for Rubik, a little bit more on the defensive side than ordinarily you would see. Lion a little bit more aggressive there, but the two heroes, should they smoke up and leave towards the Storm Spirit's lane, where Templar Assassin is assumingly going to be sitting, that is more than enough to kill off Storm Spirit until Treant gets picked up. Suddenly, it's not more than enough. Suddenly, it gets a little bit more dicey. If the Treant Protector is quick with his living armor, eGamers don't really have great ways of burning through that. Similar to how Unknown don't have any great ways of getting through the refraction.
Yeah, they have very, very limited sources, as you've said. Let's see what else could be picked up by eGamers to maybe somewhat remedy the fact that Treant Protector is going to be offering that living armor, but also probably worrisome for them is that they don't have great tower pushing heroes. Templar Assassin at a certain point can do a lot of tower damage when she get like Deso and just a raw amount of physical DPS, but Rubik and Earthshaker aren't going to be contributing anything to that number, and Treant Protector should be able to fairly reliably keep the towers up for Unknown. Although a hero that I'm usually on the fence on, it kind of feels like this is a pretty good Treant Protector game, even though it's only the third pick.
And already with the Lion with the Treant Protector, like, Treant Protector, usually his weakness is that he doesn't actually do anything in the early stages. Occasionally with Boots First, he'll find a couple of whacks on the enemies and maybe even draw First Blood off of that. But with Lion, you're guaranteed those right clicks. For Unknown, they're going to grab a Broodmother after seeing the Phoenix pick up. eGamers have a couple of AoE tools, but nothing great so far to track down the Broods. I think they only went for this, seeing the Phoenix pick on the other end. Seeing the lanes, or how the lanes are probably going to shape up for eGamers. Unknown going to play a very annoying style of Dota. Broodmother is Broodmother, first of all, and then Storm Spirit with the mobility, very hard to lock him down.
For sure. Earthshaker, although at a certain point can do quite a lot of work against Broodmother with the Blink Echo Slam, you have to get to that point first, and even once he has the Echo, it's not guaranteed that he can actually get on top of the Broodmother before she eats him alive. Huskar is going to be banned by eGamers, and although I think the physical damage from TA is usually something to dissuade you from going for a Huskar, it wouldn't have been terrible for Unknown, and that's scary.
Well, Axe is a pretty straightforward ban from the Unknown side. Got to protect that Broodmother pickup, then Huskar. Huskar didn't really do... I mean, it kind of did well in the first time they ran it. Fell off. That game was just an absolute mess, so it's probably better we don't speak of that game. For eGamers, they're going to need a little bit more late-game damage. Like, they have a good amount of early mid-game with this Phoenix and Templar Assassin. Again, they really lack the ability to push after they... get those ideally early game kills, so they either need to get a super late game hero or they need a pusher. So what's it going to be at that point? They have a lot of options.
Yeah, heroes that could maybe fulfill that role. Something like a Leshrac would be alright for them. Eats through the living armor pretty nicely with the Diebogged Edict. But another hero that could end up falling prey to Broodmother and to Storm Spirit, getting constantly jumped and constantly killed if they get off onto a back foot. But I think it would still be a reasonable pick for eGamers.
Alright, so other alternatives. Well, I guess we could look at Unknown. They are going to have their offlane with the Broodmother. That's pretty clear. Storm Spirit most of the time going to go mid, although sending him towards the safe lane, not too bad either. For Unknown, like aside from the fact that they don't really have great ways of dealing with the Templar Assassin Refraction, maybe they don't have the most attack speed in the world for the Phoenix, I don't really see anything that they're lacking right now. Like, they have a good mix of CC considering what they're up against. They have decent lanes already with the Brood and the Storm Spirit. They have a decent mix of power from their two supports. They can actually pick up anyone right now, and I guess that's the luxury they get from being the last pick. They get to see the full lineup of eGamers to see if there's any potential hard counters, but I doubt there's going to be a hero that they can pick up that'll be really bad for Unknown.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. It's going to be a Legion Commander for eGamers. I'm really on the fence about this. It's going to offer them some nice lockdown for the Storm Spirit and a reasonable laner. Potentially that bumps the Templar Assassin into the safe lane farming role, or maybe they safe lane farm the Legion. But either way, it's a very momentum-based hero with not a lot of damage follow-up to secure dual wins. Usually when I see Legion Commander, I want to see like a Witch Doctor, Scarith Mage follow-up, some supports that offer a lot of damage, and Earthshaker and Rubik aren't those two supports. The Viper from Unknown is going to further secure their dominance inside the laning stage, and really I think all around their draft is just better.
Well, I think I'm a little bit less on the fence about this Legion Commander than you are. Like, I would agree you generally want to have some sort of guaranteed dual victory tool in order to get it down, but eGamers are already invested pretty heavily into the early mid-game stages, right? They're up against a Broodmother, so overwhelming odds is pretty freaking ridiculously broken, and a Lion Storm Spirit, both of whom can get their disables purged out, so you get a lot of value, mixed value there from the Legion Commander. But also, if you're going to be starting the snowball for eGamers with Templar Assassin, you might as well be snowballing with two heroes while you're at it. And Legion Commander, though, if she has a mediocre game, isn't really the strongest late game hero. If she gets one or two dual victories, suddenly she's an absolute nightmare to deal with if you're Unknown. So this Legion Commander, as always for Legion Commanders, is going to depend on how her first dual victories go, how her initial farming phase goes. A quick Blink Dagger can get EGX so much space in this game.
Yeah, so if EGX are able to get over the hump of their early game, they do have heroes that snowball pretty nicely, and I suppose I'll go ahead and introduce their squad. We're going to have WAP playing on the Earthshaker. He's going to be supporting, partnered up with Gaio on the Rubik. Legion Commander is going to be handled by Pain. Phoenix going to be played by Pizzoti, and last but not least, our Templar Assassin by Ahi in the mid lane.
And on the Unknown side, Greedy is going to be playing the Broodmother. On the Viper, we got MNZ Excel on the line. Got a lot of farm last game. We'll see if he can make a repeat performance in this game. Z-Talk is on the Tree and Protector. That leaves Dark Konoha on the Storm Spirit. What we saw from Greedy in the last game was him getting picked off quite a few times. And although Broodmother, I would say, a lot more naturally survivable than the Clockwork, he does, if he's going to play a very similar role where he's a little bit careless, have to worry about giving away too many Spiderlings to the EDX side, because it adds up really fast.
Yeah, and that is another big benefit of having the Legion Commander. She does do very well against the Broodmother when you have the overwhelming odds. If she ever does get a large spider army, you can usually kill that off with just one cast of the Q. So between Echo Slam and overwhelming odds, they do have a lot of ways to deal damage to the Broodmother and her spider army. That said, I still don't think that's enough to dissuade Broodmother from making that spider army and from being effective this game, but it does make the pick a lot better, I suppose.
And in this lane, it looks like if it's going to be a dual lane for EGX, this is one of the ideal scenarios for Broodmother. Obviously, going up against Legion Commander's odds, not exactly great, because, well, I would, in fact, call them overwhelming. But, oh, up towards top, Z-Talk is so close. This tree looks tall enough to see up those stairs, but that's not how Dota works, guys. So that was potentially very close. Attempted bounty rune snag from the Phoenix. Cute, but I don't think I've seen that work a single time yet. It's just going to be a bounty rune for either side. But again, Greedy, Broodmother down towards bottom lane. This Rubik will poke a little bit, but Rubik has to be very, very careful at over-poking this Broodmother. At a certain point, Broodmother can turn around and just go to town on this Rubik.
It takes probably more than just level 1, but once you hit like level 5 or so on the Broodmother, get 3 points up in your spawn Spiderlings, or even just 2, and the Rubik doesn't have enough HP to survive through that onslaught of damage. We'll just have to see how these lanes pan out. Up towards top, it's the Storm Spirit tri-lane with the Tree and Protector and Lion supporting him against an Earthshaker Phoenix. Earthshaker Phoenix not the strongest of lanes, and they can feasibly kill off Pizzoti here. He's going to be forced to dive away, although Fissure is going to disengage. That's a lot of HP dropped on the Phoenix, probably forced through the majority of his tangos.
It's a lot of mana also being spent by the Earthshaker. It does have a lot of clarities to kind of keep that up, but for Unknown, they only spend a spike and right clicks in order to get that much efficient damage off on this Phoenix. Once level 2 comes up on maybe Darkona, I think you probably grab Electric Vortex level 2 in this lane if you're going to be planning on going up against the Phoenix, but crucially level 2 on the Lion, then things get so much more difficult for this EGX dual lane. The whole point of this dual lane is for the Earthshaker to protect the Phoenix so that they both get easy levels. But when they're both dying or when they're both getting pressured this much, it's going to be very difficult for that to actually come to be. And then you have a situation where you have 2 heroes losing a lane instead of just 1. Things get a lot worse. So they have to be really careful for EGX up on this top lane because Unknown do have a pretty vast advantage up here.
As far as heroes that can function with very low amounts of experience, Earthshaker is pretty high on that list because Fissure is just such a great spell. So they do have that silver lining for them, I suppose. Mid lane Templar Assassin versus Viper, MNZ is just putting the screws to Ahi and might even get a kill here. There's Bottle and the Meld Strike. It's going to keep the Templar Assassin alive, although he is going to be forced to burn through the entirety of his Bottle charges.
That's pretty much what you would expect, right? Like Viper going for even 2 points in poison attack just to cut through that refraction a little bit faster, just to get a little bit more pressure onto the Templar Assassin. This is not the worst lane for the Templar Assassin. Like there are much worse lanes you could go up against, but this is definitely up there. Like if you were listing the top 5 worst lanes, this would probably be in that list. And Viper is going for a fully aggressive build. No reason for him to get magic protection just yet until Earthshaker comes in. Suddenly big physical attacks from Ahi. Treant is here with the armor though. MNZ can get a little bit of protection from that. They need one more hit to kill him off, but that one more hit is not going to come. MNZ is going to live, albeit barely, and well, he's going to live to fight another day.
Backing off is going to tango up, maybe get some extra living armor support from the Treant Protector once that is available. In fact, he actually pops Leech Seed on the creep wave just to keep MNZ around here for a little while longer. Looks like Broodmother aided in overwhelming odds as Leech Commander's CS spiked and Broodmother's health plummeted. And that's probably going to be how the laning stage is going to go for the most part. Greedy might end up being a little too greedy with his spiders if he ends up feeding too many of those away. Leech Commander could be in for a very fast blink, even after backing off for treads first by the look of things. Mid lane, Living Armor is going to keep the Viper alive, and as if this lane wasn't annoying enough already for the Templar Assassin, having that tree is pretty much like going against a dual lane, even if Zitok isn't there in person. For the time being, he is. Up towards top, they're going to dive onto the Lion, fissure it off. The Fire Spirit damages enough onto Excel. It's not. He's going to survive on about 50 HP under his tower as Pizzoti is going to salve up, surviving a close call for both sides, but everybody walks away alive, although maybe not for long. Zitok's going to come there. Treant Protector has no boots, has no Orb of Venom, and no way to catch the Phoenix, who does have boots, even though he doesn't have Icarus Dive, is probably going to live here, has a TP if things get really hairy.
MNZ doesn't make any sort of movement. Not worth going on that wild goose chase for maybe a kill. I guess it's maybe a first blood kill, and that's a little bit more valuable, but just not worth their time. Regardless, still 0-0s across the board right now, and taking a look at the CS, it is, much like last game, across the board in favor of the Unknown side. And now over towards mid, TA does have a fraction, does have Phoenix flying in. Treant Protector taking quite a bit of damage, does drop the Leech Seed right now, which will heal him up a little bit, but the Phoenix has got to watch out. He does not have a dive out, and he will die, giving up first blood to this Viper. It was bound to happen, and I'm pretty sure it was going to happen in that middle lane. But yeah, that is just going to capitalize so much more on this Viper's already vast lead on the Templar Assassin. It's 8 CS to 25. This is a ridiculously won lane by Unknown.
That's going to be translated towards a mechanism for the Viper, and that extra gold, yeah, helps a huge amount for Unknown at securing that advantage. Templar Assassin, as far as heroes are concerned, does rely on getting kills and snowballing a little bit, especially when you do poorly on your lane. Another thing to keep in mind is that Templar Assassin probably wants to end up farming some ancient stacks. Broodmother down towards bottom is going to be lifted up, dropping low. Do they have enough detection to actually chase down Greedy? It looks like he's going to end up surviving, with Mango regen and Web regen is going to stick around in bottom.
They only loaded out into that lane with 1 sentry, and you see it, it's on the floor right now. So for EGX, the odds of them getting this kill very low, especially now that the living armor starts kicking in. Broodmother is just going to be a nuisance. Creep cutting, Pain as a hero Legion Commander is very capable of tanking the lane creeps, however, just because she does have that extra lifesteal, and she's pretty tanky. But over towards mid, Templar Assassin is completely out of mana. How the hell did that happen? And she's going to get Viper Struck. The only chance she survives is if she meld dodges something, but that's clearly not going to happen. Now 2 deaths to her name, 2 kills to Viper's name, and yeah, it's going to go very quickly to a tripling up of CS. There is not much that EGX can do about this mid lane, and similarly up towards top, though they're not dying as much, they're not getting that much on this top lane either.
To be fair, that is the only death of the Templar Assassin, but yeah, the other death was the Phoenix as he rotated in towards mid, but they're just feeding MNZ on a silver platter inside mid. He already has the two major components towards his mech. It's going to be a 7.5 mechanism if they're not careful, and if he gets another kill, it can even be quicker. But that was just poor mana management from the Templar Assassin. Although she has a terrible time CSing, as long as she has mana and Viper doesn't have any detection in lane, she probably should survive.
There's another problem here brewing for EGX. The fact that Storm Spirit now has Ball Lightning, and they also have a Treant Protector who's pretty aggressively positioned right now. So this Phoenix, this Earthshaker, look how scared this Earthshaker is. I mean, I guess that is like just natural defensive positioning from the Shaker, but the Phoenix as well, they know the threat that Unknown poses right now up on this top lane, just with these two heroes, the Lion and the Storm Spirit. That's a lot of threat, and it'll be even more once Lion grabs his level 6. Still, he's a little bit far away from that one, but if EGX show their faces up here, their faces are most likely just going to get smashed in. They're not getting any farm on this top lane. I guess they're getting experience at something, but it won't be enough. If you're down towards bottom lane, this will be enough. Duel onto Greedy. This should be a duel victory for Pain. That is a fairly early win as far as duels are concerned. But over towards the mid lane, maybe Aji's going to die right now. They actually don't have detection. You'd think they would have detection, but they don't.
Yeah, it would be a worthy investment, even for the Viper to delay his mech for. You can feasibly get kills if you had Dust or Sentries there. The Leech Commander really is the silver lining for EGX. She's doing decently well in lane. She's topping the CS chart, but that's a little unfair. At least 15 to 20 of those are spiders, maybe even more. But still, Pain is going to be happy with his positioning. This game is going to find himself with probably about an 8-minute Blink Dagger, maybe a little bit later, a little bit sooner, depending on how the next couple of seconds of this game turn out. But that extra dual damage helps a lot, and they need this Legion to be active. Templar Assassin isn't going to do it, and neither is Phoenix. In fact, Phoenix is not even level 5 yet.
They don't even have that much to actually help out with Pain's jump. Like, if he buffs himself, gets a pretty good overwhelming odds even, jumps in duels, it'll be just the Legion Commander, and at this point, he'll be probably buff enough to take those kills, depending on who actually jumps on. Like a Lion, that's probably a guaranteed kill, but he doesn't really have that many levels, not much gold on the other heroes to actually help out there. But if they somehow do manage to get a couple of Blink kills with this Legion Commander, that is how EGX get back into this game. Not only does the Legion Commander get a lot of golden farm and also damage, but it's also the rest of the team recovering in a big way with kills that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So Pain is very quickly becoming one of the only hopes for EGX to salvage this early game.
Yeah, and hopefully they can salvage it for their hopes inside this qualifiers as a whole, and the dream to be able to get into the TI qualifiers proper. You have phase boots down your TA, so maybe that can help her, especially if she can isolate somebody like the Lion, but as long as Lion is not cut out completely alone, has access to Hex and Earth Spike, the ability for TA to get any kills is very limited unless she has some involvement from the rest of her team. This Earthshaker and Rubik have been very standoffish with the ability for them to actually help out. Earthshaker is always there to maybe bail the Phoenix from getting killed off, but let's see how this goes. They're going to blink in, they get a duel, and he was already so low, the Storm Spirit will go down. That's a really big pick. Not something you necessarily expect when the Safe Lane Leech Commander is missing. You probably think she's just off and towards the middle camps farming up the woods, but Broodmother was there. A good rotation, and EGX are well on their way towards getting back into this game.
Now they just have to do that a couple more times and they'll be golden. They also have to not have this happen. Rubik is going to face up against a massive legion of spiders. He's going to get a lift up. Might as well use your mana because you're dead anyway. Who's going to take the right click? It's going to be the Viper, grabbing a killing spree, and he does have the mech up as well, so going for this push. Pretty sure the Broodmother could have done this by herself, in all honesty, but it's going to be pushed nonetheless, similarly mirrored on the top lane. So both safe lane towers are going to get pressured. Excel, as long as he stays quiet in that corner, he should be just fine, but it seems like both these towers are going to be dying. Living Armor is going to be used. That's not really going to do that much in the grand scheme of things, but hey, tower for tower, Pain's going to get a little more farm. Actually, TP and Treant Protector, no, that's a bad idea. Z-Talk's going to go in right into a duel. Excel is going to slowly walk out of there, but Z-Talk, he's under so much pressure right now. The duel will fizzle, but he will go down nonetheless. Supernova now forcing them all to disengage. Excel tries to go into the trees. Dark Kona has a lot of mana. He'll jump forward looking for Pain. He has a haste rune as well. Pain will go down. Excel in the meantime wasting the time of two heroes. Turn around for Spike, not there. Too slow. And it's going to be a 2-for-1. That was extremely ambitious from Unknown. But killing off the Legion Commander, I guess, makes it not that terrible.
The duel is also pretty ambitious coming out from EGX. The Legion Commander dropping that instantly as soon as he came in, which I suppose is fair enough. but that is kind of the weakness at the moment of the Legion Commander and her team that they built around her. They just don't have the damage fallout. Viper Strike in mid is going to connect as he is going to get some help from the Rubik, pulling back the Viper in towards a Phoenix, but this is not necessarily where they want the Viper. If they Finger of Death the Phoenix, they'll kill him off instantly. They do. Double damage Templar Assassin turning around. MNZ is dropping low. We'll start kiting her around, hexing her up, earth spiking her down, and he will go down one way or another. It's going to be the Rubik to get the kill on the Viper first. Blink in duel. They'll catch out Excel. They'll kill him off. More duel damage for Pain, up to 30 now in a 2-for-2 trade as Storm Spirit is fighting up against neutral creeps. In bottom lane, however, Broodmother is pushing up a Storm. 2-2 already down to half HP, and EGX need to pull out now, and they're going to do so with Pain leading the charge, maxed out overwhelming odds. If he can catch out these spiders, it's a lot of gold, but it looks like he won't be able to do so.
That's the best fight that EGX could have hoped for. Losing their TA, that's bad, but they got through a Viper, a very over-farmed Viper with a mech, with I think a full magic stick, and they were able to survive and tell the tale with a little bit more damage to boot. Yet that was also a 3 versus 4, 3 versus 5, I think, for EGX. They have to worry about the Broodmother, and if you're taking even trades like that, though it was a very good trade for EGX to take when you're 4v5, that's not going to be how you win this game. You have to take much better trades than that, because the Broodmother all the while is going to be farming and just being a constant nuisance down on this bottom lane. EGX do have some potentially good answers to deal with this Brood, but just not yet. They need more farm. They need also, well, that's going to help out a lot. Killing off a giant army of Spiderlings can help the Legion Commander cash in. This seems like a game after Blade Mail where you go for some sort of lightning item, probably that Maelstrom. They're also going to catch Z-Talk with the Lift and a Fissure. He does have the guys, though. Echo Slam is there, and there's Dust because they have a Broodmother on their side. Z-Talk is going to get dropped immediately. Unfortunately, they couldn't keep him alive long enough for Pain to get the dual damage, but it's still a kill.
Yeah, and even without that dual damage, Legion Commander missing out on 2 potential duels is still sitting at a very respectable 30. 12 minutes into the game, that's about as much as you can hope for. Even with the infusion of Spiderling, Storm Spirit's still out farming when it comes to raw CS, and Storm is getting dangerously close to having a completed Orchid. Already he has enough gold for the 2 Oblivion Staffs, and from there on out, it's very smooth sailing. 300 gold away.
Storm's getting his farm up. Lion is also approaching that crucial item in his Blink Dagger. So Excel, both in this game and in the last, looking to get a lot of farm out of nowhere. I don't know where he's getting it. He got a Phoenix kill in the mid lane. He's got a couple of assists since then, but mostly it's just been managing the jungle, snagging some creeps in lane when he can. That's about it, but a Blink Dagger on Lion, that's huge, because Unknown, then with the Orchid on Storm Spirit and the Blink Dagger on Lion, we'll be able to initiate in such a crushing manner. You jump in, hard disables, soft disables, every sort of disables, and for EGX, that hero is going to be in for a world of hurt. Hopefully for them, the press the attack is there in time, but that's a lot to ask for from your Legion Commander, who's most likely just going to be trying to set up for an ambush with a duel victory.
The Storm Spirit now has his completed Orchid, and he didn't even flat rush it. He went for a Soul Ring, Bottle, and Treads first. So he is going to have a lot of gold and a lot of ways to kill off these EGX heroes. If he isolates anybody by himself, he can probably kill them off, although maybe not the Legion before she's able to get back up and press the attack to turn things around with the Blade Mail. But anybody else is pretty much just straight up dead.
Bottom lane, Finger of Death, big ball lightning in onto Pain. Not a chance to cast a single skill. That was kind of weird sequencing, but it doesn't matter if it's weird if it works, right? Now the Lion has his Blink Dagger at the same time in the Ancients of the Radiant. Guayo's going to catch Z-Talk, but MNZ is here. They're going to go straight for this Rubik. Z-Talk taking a beating right now, but he will slip away under cover of nature's guise. Dive in from the Phoenix, won't quite be lethal, as MNZ is just still going to town. Overgrowth is there, and they will Supernova out. Viper doesn't have enough attack speed to kill itself by himself, but he will just back off and start kiting. Still has mech available, but the Fissure is there. Ahi with some big physical damage. MNZ is going to get walled off by the Phoenix. There's no escape for the Viper, and the Firebird will take down the Poison Bird. But it's still a 2-for-1 in favor of Unknown after all things are done. And bottom lane still has a Broodmother that EGX have to deal with.
Yeah, that Broodmother is going to be very close to taking a tier 2. Excel has his Blink after the kill onto the Legion Commander, and Blink in. Pain is not going to find himself a Lion. The kill down towards bottom didn't even need the Orchid for the Storm Spirit. He was able to get that off without even using the Silence. EGX should know that he has that item up and running, but it still is not going to make it any less threatening. Templar Assassin at the moment is pushing up towards top by herself. If Storm Spirit was there with enough mana, I could go for that, but even without getting these kills, the Storm Spirit's farming up a Storm, currently at almost 9,000 net worth, and if you compare that to about the 7k of the Legion Commander, he's leaps and bounds ahead. Legion Commander hasn't gotten any dual damage for the longest of times, probably about 6 minutes.
It feels like EGX are in a much better position than they really are, because the fighting from Unknown has taken place on very small scale terms, like a couple heroes, a 2v1 here, a 2v3 there for Unknown. They have yet to actually come together and take an actual 4v5 team fight. And I say 4v5 because I'm assuming Greedy is going to be off doing his own thing as Broodmother. But once that happens, then we get to get a read on exactly how powerful Unknown are. It might start in the mid lane where MNZ's going to get jumped and dueled in. The Overgrowth is going to slow them down but not completely stop them. If they could live long enough to mech, they might even save the Viper. Big ball lightning in, just going straight for the Phoenix. They'll blow him up, and Guayo also going to die. They lose the Viper, but it's immediately a 2-for-1 as Dark Konoha is going to go for more. He sees WAP. He's going to get fissured into the face, though, and he's going to take a lot of damage. He's ball lightning out. He will get the Earthshaker kill, not blink in from Excel, but he completely whiffs his spike, and now turn around from he's going to kill up the Lion. Oh man, that was not the play you wanted to make from your Lion with the first uses of Blink. It's a 3-for-3 at the end of it. Unknown, though, they lose their Storm Spirit. That's a big cost, but they gain a tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. Again, making it a little bit less terrible for them.
It was such an awkward exchange. It looked like it would go so well for Unknown after the Viper survives throughout the duel, mechs up, and even turns around for a little bit of damage after the fact. He starts that fight off by dying, and the Storm Spirit does get those 2 kills immediately after the fact, but just didn't have enough mana to survive and go for anything else. The Broodmother, as you've already kind of mentioned, is doing a lot of work when it comes to split pushing and being a general nuisance on the map. 3-for-3 is fairly even in my book, but yeah, the Storm Spirit is such a high priority target that it is going to put a sour taste in Unknown's mouth, even though they probably get the edge. Tier 2 tower on bottom is a very high priority tower kill.
So Greedy is holding on to 3,600 gold right now. This is a lot of cash for any hero 17 minutes in, let alone a Broodmother. So what do you think the build is here? I don't really think she should go for like a Necrobook strategy. Do you think the Dagon Ethereal Blade kind of surprise bursty build is the right way to go here for the Brood?
I prefer the surprise bursty way, but maybe Broodmother has something else in mind. Pulling up this much gold, is he actually going to go for Radiance? He has enough for anything he wants to build, and I think this is maybe just Greedy being a little bit indecisive. In the other side of the map, there's going to be a duel in mid, catching out the Viper. They'll kill him off and actually get the duel victory for the Legion. Chasing for more, can they get it? The Earthshaker and Phoenix are alone. It looks like everybody from Unknown, with the exception being that Viper, is going to survive, although they'll slow down the tree. It's too deep for them to dive there. Legion Commander going to drop an overwhelming odds, killing off so many spiders, so much CS for pain, and now has a sentry down on the ground. Can Greedy get out of it, however? It looks like the answer is yes, slowed down by a TA trap. Do they have any further detection? No, Greedy is home free.
There's one sentry for Guayo. He does deploy it, but it's not going to catch the Brood, so it's a nice little pick off again for Unknown. I don't know why the Viper is that far out. Now Dark Konoha is going to get jumped, but there's a Hex and a Silence. Suddenly Legion Commander doesn't even have enough mana for a duel, doesn't even have it on cooldown. He's going to get pulled back, no Blade Mail, is going to get annihilated. Pain thought that she had backup. Legion Commander clearly didn't, though, and now Dark Konoha is going to start fighting up against He takes a Meld Strike to the face, but he's going to be more than okay to walk out of there. I have no idea what the plan was for Legion Commander. Like, she didn't even have duel, so there's no chance she gets that kill.
No, and that's going to be a very big pickoff for Unknown. The Legion Commander is the one that EGX can't afford to lose. Even though Storm Spirit's been caught out 2 more times than he would have liked to, currently sitting at 5-2-2, is still doing very well for himself when it comes to farm, and it's only the Legion Commander for EGX that's having a good time. Even the Templar Assassin, she has Phase Drums Yasha, which is okay. It's not going to carry this game through, however, and everybody on the side of Unknown is getting some sort of item, maybe with the exception being the tree, but even the tree has Arcane's Bracer, and since he's the one buying wards, I'd be pretty happy about that 20 minutes in.
There's a lot of gold lead for the Unknown side, not as much inexperience and Greedy. Oh, he's going to go for the Necrobook build. I just feel like he can't rat as effectively as he really wants to. Like, you have minor things like Overwhelming Odds getting plus damage, Echo Slam getting plus damage, but like, he hasn't really pressured the tier 3 high ground at all in this game, and Necrobook isn't going to significantly change that. He needs to actually contribute in some sort of direct way, and I don't know if Necrobook is the right way to go. I guess, well, it'll help out in Roshan. That's kind of nice, but he's going to invest all the way into the tier 3 Necro. That's a lot of investment.
I might have even preferred him going for an Assault Cuirass.
It's
yeah.
also a pushing item, right? But it does more in those direct fights.
Yeah, and it's really good against Templar Assassin. You do kind of want some sort of armor item to not just instantly melt. The overwhelming odds is also going to delay the effectiveness of that item, but even so, it's still a nice thing to have for your team with that extra attack speed aura as well. Maybe you can kill off the Phoenix Egg a little bit faster. Unknown get the Aegis for the Storm, and regardless of Broodmother's item choice, she's still going to be a nuisance, even if she didn't spend any of her gold. And they'll keep up this pressure. Looking for Blink Initiation in mid, they'll get the Hex Earth Spike onto the TA. As the duel goes onto the sidelines, they'll catch up the Storm, bringing down his Aegis low. The mech is not going to save them from losing the duel damage towards the Legion. Supernova is going to go off, and it is going to explode right in the face of Dark Konoha. Do they have the follow-up lockdown? The lift isn't going to be spent as he's going to go straight onto Pain. Pain is going to pop the Blade Mail and gets a couple of lifesteal procs with the Echo Slam. They'll turn that around in a big way. And now Yule's up the Viper, trying to chase for him. They'll slow his attack speed down, fissure him up. Although Living Armor is there, it's not going to keep him alive for long. He's dusted up. They have that detection as the Broodmother comes in from the sidelines with that Necrobook, kills off the Phoenix, but won't be able to get any more there. And now they'll slow down the Templar Assassin. MNZ has joined this fight again, but a Meld Strike Fissure will be his undoing. Now Z-Talk is caught out completely alone. They'll drop a sentry on the ground and a 1-for-4 trade for them. Where did that go wrong for Unknown?
It went wrong in two areas. First of all, Lion, oh wait, Ball Lightning in. They're not done yet. Huge Ball Lightning in, but suddenly Dark Konoha is in a 1v3. Has to get out. Okay, now I think it's over. Now it's probably over, and it is over. But, okay, so they went in. They saw the Templar Assassin blink Hex, right? That's probably the best way that Unknown could start a fight, but the Storm Spirit jumps onto a different target, and he gets immediately blink dueled, and no one is there to back him up because the Lion just uses blink Hex to initiate. So, miscommunication for Unknown as to who to initiate upon. Then the Storm Spirit overcommits, and Unknown, they aren't able to do anything to help him out there. So Dark Konoha just kind of throws his life away by getting too far from the rest of the side. And then also we have Greedy, who's just sitting in this like hill area where the observer wards are and where his webs are. Does absolutely no damage until the super end of the fight where he throws his Necrobooks in and gets a kill on the Phoenix. Yeah, but your Broodmother has the second most net worth in the game, and she did no damage in that fight, so it's essentially having 10k less on your team. So EGX, they claim several kills because Unknown miscommunicate and don't actually fully commit in the right place at the right time. And now Z-Talk's gonna get lifted right into sentry range. Fissure is there, blink forward, enchant totem. Z-Talk is gonna take a lot of damage, however, he will survive long enough to get dueled. If only he didn't do any of that, he would have been better off.
Pain now sitting at 72 damage. You have a Deso up for the TA, and as you said, the item allocation from Unknown isn't working out for them, and they still have about a 6,000 gold lead in the net worth graph. Experience has completely been evened out, but things really just aren't working out for them. They even go for a Midas on the Viper after going for Mech. MNZ had slowed down to an absolute crawl, so I can understand the need for a catch-up Midas, but really, is this going to work out for them? That's another 2,000 gold that's not going to be working in the immediate future. It's going to take longer for them to actually get that advantage up, and I think this draft for EGX is working a lot better than I gave it credit for. They now have a Blink Echo Slam initiation, Supernova is level 2, and is surviving pretty long inside these fights, and Legion Commander is getting a lot of momentum, now the majority of the way towards an Assault Cuirass.
It's the fact that Unknown are getting initiations off, but they're not getting kills off. If they actually focus their fire and kill off someone like a TA, that's a large source of damage down the drain. Similar with the Legion Commander, a little bit more difficult perhaps, but just as good if not better. They have all the tools that they need, they're just not executing correctly. In EGX, they're playing responsive. You never really want to be playing super responsive, but it's working out so well because Unknown are just constantly botching it. They'll take down the mid tier 1 tower without too much of a fight, and the Broodmother's Necrobook build, like this is where you would want your Broodmother to be knocking on the doors of the tier 3, but she's not even there yet. Z-Talk spotted out, there is dust, but it will miss, slightly out of range, so they will not catch up to the Treant. Broodmother will shove the wave, but that's about all she will do. Go into farming mode. This Necrobook is just rotting in her inventory right now.
Very unfortunate for the Brood, and unfortunate for Unknown as a whole. This game is by no means over, and they still have a net worth lead, but if they lose their Broodmother, that's money bags for the enemy team. Meld Strike with the Deso effect. She's going to be dropped down, in fact, walks outside of her webs. That is one of the saddest deaths on a Broodmother I've ever seen. That one sentry was all that the Templar Assassin needed.
Necrobook isn't going to save you there. To be fair, nothing much is going to save you there. Maybe actually the Assault Cuirass does, but she's going to go for a BKB if she gets that, and then she doesn't participate in this fight, then Unknown, you just don't play Broodmother because you clearly don't know what you're doing with it. But yeah, 40 seconds where the Broodmother's down. Big ball lightning in. Storm Spirit gonna jump through everyone to go straight to the Phoenix. Will burst him down and then TP out. If he gets away, totally worth it, and he will get away. So a nice little pick off here for Dark Konoha, and he's actually holding on to quite a bit of net worth himself. His first place in the net worth chart. He has an ultimate orb, so most likely going to be a sheep stick, although a Lincoln Sphere to block a duel. That's the dream.
And it's a pretty decent item too. There's not a lot of ways to pop it that are really that good at all. If you're blocking anything else, Fade Bolt from the Rubik is probably their best Lincoln's popper that's a spell, and Yule Scepter from the Phoenix when it comes to items. But even so, I wouldn't be opposed to that by any means. It depends on how defensively that Unknown want to be playing this. And since they have gone for the Midas on the Viper, and they do have a Midas ticking on the Broodmother, I think they might be playing pretty defensively after all, and just waiting for this game to drag out towards a later portion when they can get value out of those hands of Midases.
Oh, Aji is going to get bumped into down towards bottom, hexed up as well. The refraction shield still holds strong though. Necro units go up, they have a pull. They will disrupt that TP and Finger of Death just so Lion can grab that kill. In the meantime, Storm Spirit was also initiating on the Rubik, who is slightly to the south of that fight. So it's a nice little couple pickoffs for the Unknown side. And I don't know if they could actually make anything happen off of this. It's TA down, and that's still a big kill for the Unknown side, but man, for EGX, this is pretty much the ideal Legion Commander game. She has 72 damage, which is a lot for the end of a game, and it's still only 27 minutes old, so Pain is going to get a lot more damage, and she was the engine for EGX. She did get all of those Blink calls, or Blink duels rather, and she's going to get another one onto MNZ. Blink, duel, Phoenix is going to slide right in, as will WAP, and MNZ, this is supposed to be a Viper. He's supposed to be tanky, but just off of that, I would say he's anything but.
Yeah, Pain now up to 90 damage on the Legion Commander, and with the Assault Cuirass attack speed with a couple of Moment of Courage procs thrown in there, is really going to be dishing. The Viper, as a hero, has just completely fallen off since he didn't get very much from those early pushes, except for a couple of Tier 1 towers, which is nice and all, but no further map objectives have been taken by Unknown, and really, they kind of have stalled out. That last fight, where they do finally get an initiation, get a kill after fact, was amazing. Long zip in, and a follow-up lift. Has he bitten off more than he can chew? The Storm Spirit's pad out of mana, but it looks like he's going to make his way out. He has a Treant Protector there with an Overgrowth. Can Dark Konoha make it out alive? He's going to zip over to the other side of the high ground, leaving Zetok high and dry, and that is going to be the death of the tree, but in all honesty, with such a deep dive, I think Unknown are going to be happy to get away with their Storm Spirit's life.
Storm Spirit getting kills, Treant Protector paying the price. Seems like a pretty classic support move to me, but Unknown, they might actually lose Excel right here, because here comes Pain. Grabbed a Haste Rune. There's a spike to slow him down, but Excel needs a Blink Dagger so badly right now. He will get a little bit more distance, but will it be enough distance? Pain still has a Blink. 3, 2, 1 with Blade Mail available. Excel has to be fast on his Hex. They won't go for him. They'll instead catch Pain, or catch MNZ, a much tastier target, much more difficult, and it will survive. And now here comes the ball lightning in. They'll kill the Viper off. Actually, Aji does dump in there and does finish off the job, but suddenly he's silenced as well, and he's on the run. Blink Echo Slam from WAP, though, is going to slow them both down. Where are the reinforcements from Unknown? Big Psyblade spill onto 2. Now Ahi fighting up against those 2 heroes. Dark Konoha will take the kill. He doesn't have enough, I don't think, to continue onwards for the Shaker. But for EGX, they lose their 2 most important heroes, and now it'll be even a little bit more difficult for them to defend this bottom lane, because Greedy is in a decent position this time to go for a push. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his Necro books available.
Poor Broodmother, just not finding those openings that he really wanted. But as you said, those kills were on the 2 highest priority targets on EGX. After that blink in and Echo, Templar Assassin felt a lot of pressure to turn around and get that kill onto the Lion and hopefully get the kill on the Storm Spirit. But it just didn't work out. Living Armor is too much for her to eat through. Long zipping in top. Dark Konoha is very liberal with his mana. With 11 Bloodstone charges, he probably can do so pretty comfortably. And since he does have that Lincoln Sphere completed, the initiation coming out from EGX is pretty much not there whenever they don't have a Blink Echo Slam, and especially since Legion Commander is dead. So it's going to go unpunished, and probably will for the vast majority of this game. Storm Spirit is starting to pick up a lot of momentum, and now that the Broodmother is going to be sitting on the lion's share of a BKB, probably going to have that up as her next item, she's also going to be pretty hard to deal with. Although the Legion Commander is getting damage, is it enough to pull them through?
Well, they have to worry about first Greedy. They'll Icarus dive forward just for a scout. There's a sentry on Guayo, and he'll drop it immediately, but there's the Leech Seed. Treant Protector in a lot of trouble, walled off. He does get the Overgrowth, which prevents the wall, but there's Pain incoming with the duel, and Z-Talk has nowhere to run. He also just grabbed the gem. Maybe he could deliver it to the courier. No, Darkona does jump in, assassinate the Rubik, then jumps out, but they do get the gem for EGX, and Darkona should be able to TP out. Who actually grabbed the gem in that exchange? It was the Templar Assassin, so she does have that one available, and that means Greedy is spotted. The Fissure's going to whiff. Pizzotti does jump forward. There's a big Spiderling army, and it's all gonna get cashed in by Pain. They also see Greedy right now. Big melt hit will kill off the Broodmother. Where are the rest of Unknown? I got no freaking idea. They lose 2 on the bottom lane and only gain the Rubik.
Storm Spirit is picking up quite a few Bloodstone charges with all of these pickoffs, but that is so much gold to be feeding towards the Legion Commander. I don't think it's reflected entirely inside this fight recap. That should just be the kill gold, but that's at least another 100, 150 from the Spiders. Storm Spirit looking for potentially an Aegis Snatch, but not going to find it. In fact, is stunned up by the Earthshaker, cut out in the sidelines, but now WAP is the one that's caught. Down to the low ground, blink up to the high ground from Legion. Everybody's stuck on the cliff. TP away from Pain. Will that be cancelled by the Storm? That would be cheeky. Not going to end up going for that play. But EGX, after getting a handful of pickoffs, do now have that second life running for their Legion Commander.
And that's going to mean Legion Commander always diving in ham, and even if Storm Spirit sees her, invests all the mana in the world, will not be able to get that kill. You kill him off once, maybe. Killing off twice, that's a dream. And at this point, even the Legion Commander, like, she is a threat, but she's provided so much cover for the rest of her allies that Templar Assassin is going to be just as big of a threat, if not even bigger. Like, she has the Desolator, she has the Asha. We can clearly see Ahi's doing a large amount of damage. And Unknown, they have so many tools to deal with her, but they're just not coming through effectively enough. And Ahi has recovered fully from his really, really bad early stages. Like, his early game was being tripled up in CS by the Viper, but now the Templar Assassin is such a larger threat than the Viper that it almost seems like she never even had a lane up against the Viper. Now blink forward, duel. MNZ is going to be soloed by Pain. That's got to feel bad.
And it's not going to get any better. Pain is only racking up more and more damage as the game progresses, up to 126. The line and his Solar Crest is probably the best way that they have to deal with the Legion Commander's duel. Once it already happens, that and just hope to CC her down. But even so, the Legion Commander is just doing way too much DPS inside these fights. I didn't expect the Legion to get off to such a roaring start and really be the engine that she has been for the EGX side. Pain is a force to be reckoned with, and as you kind of talked about inside the draft, theoretically is the best scaling hero in this game.
And maybe even in Dota, like infinite scaling with dual damage, that sounds pretty sweet. They're going to clean a top tier 2 tower up, big ball lightning in. Well, Shaker will kill off Broodmother down towards bottom lane. I can only assume she got blinked into Echo Slam. Now Darkona, old duel is not going to be used just yet. Gotta worry about that Lincoln Sphere. Smoke to try to catch up to him, but this is a Storm Sphere we're talking about. That's not going to happen. Meantime, Excel and Z-Talk gonna run to the Templar Assassin. That's also not a fight that they could take. It's just a casualty of the Broodmother down towards bottom. A blink Echo Slam. I can only assume Greedy had his Spiderling army there. Damage to the tower. It brought it down to half HP, but I don't think EGX care about that at all. It's just a free pick off for them on both the Broodmother and the Viper, and they don't lose anyone. Not even close.
Zipping by the Storm Spirit, long zipping in mid, is going to try to kill off the Phoenix, instead changes target for the Earth Spirit, or Earthshaker, excuse me, but in the meantime they lose their line to the duel coming up from the Legion. Storm Spirit looks like he's going to make it out alive, but or is he? He's going to be stunned up, and the damage from Legion is too much. He has a little bit of mana, going to get down to the low ground. Can he get any further? Meld Strike going to drop him to 19 HP, and he's going to Bloodstone Suicide. Ball Lightning stolen by the Rubik, but Unknown are falling apart at the seams. About 20 minutes ago or so, maybe a little bit earlier than that, or later than that, excuse me, they were sitting on almost a 10,000 gold lead. This game has really just gotten out of hand.
They are kind of tilting out, it feels like. They're just kind of letting the Storm Spirit do his own thing. If someone on their team just goes, Storm Spirit, no, you do not jump in there, don't do that, you jump in when I say it's okay to jump in, then I feel like Unknown will be in such a better position, because their Storm Spirit keeps on jumping in, tries to go for these assassinations, which at this point is even pretty difficult. Like, Phoenix has close to a Shiva's Guard at this point. Earthshaker, he's level 17. He has a Ghost Scepter. He's very difficult to pick off as well. So Dark Konoha, though he may feel like he is on top of the world, and he is on top of the net worth chart, if you consider that the world, then yeah, you're correct. But he does not have enough kill potential to actually go for these kills convincingly, and no, nor does Greedy. Big Melt Hit can take down half of his HP. Ball ending forward, he'll pop the Necro Books, but that's just going to be extra gold for the EGX side. Unknown, they are so far behind at this point. I have no idea what they can possibly do to get back in this game, because even though the gold lead still, I mean, it's not that largely in favor of EGX. Gotta remember that this Broodmother, She's holding on to 13k, and she's not using a dime of it.
Yeah, she just ends up getting picked off way too many times, and the Viper too is also not sitting on very large amounts of effective gold. I think the biggest issue isn't the metrics for Unknown, it's just momentum. They weren't able to find any initiations with the Storm Spirit that really netted them anything. Storm Spirit is 9, 4, and 6 and is farming very well after all, but he's not going to be able to carry this game by himself, or at least it doesn't feel like it. His damage at this point is just not enough. Templar Assassin takes out a tier 2 in the bottom lane for her team, and although High Ground is a different beast entirely for both teams to break, Unknown, the wind is almost completely out of their sails. What do they need to actually pull this one through? The advantage seems too much.
Well, they first of all need EGX to not get this Aegis. If that happens, bad times for Unknown. And it'll be difficult for them to actually contest that, but it is going to be reclaimed at the very least, so now Unknown can actually make a play. The play that they have to make is like 4v1s consecutively, just to pick off the Templar Assassin, pick off the Legion Commander, because once those heroes are off the field, the rest of EGX don't really have anything to fight with, or just take off one of them, like take down the TA or the Legion Commander. Then the fight is busted wide open for Unknown. Then the Storm Spirit doesn't have to worry about actually dying. Yeah, he'll have to worry about getting disabled, but the follow-up damage, probably not going to be there. But that's a tall order. Like you can see right now from EGX, their positioning is not going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, there really just isn't any clear opening for them. They're a tough nut to crack. Unknown are currently all inside the enemy woods, and all those rotation might find them kills at another time. At the moment, it might end up just getting them wrapped around upon. Legion Commander, if they can focus her down first, is a huge target to go for, and Viper's going to bump into her, gets high ground vision, and now the Storm Spirit is potentially there with the zip, but decides against it. Viper's going to bump into the Templar Assassin. That's the one they're going to jump onto, but with the BKB Pain, can he actually get a target to duel? He's going to be locked down in place with the Overgrowth. They're going to lose Ahi in return. Eventually, he's going to find the duel onto Greedy, the stun from the Supernova, and the Broodmother is going to go down. Echo Slam committed almost onto nothing. The Broodmother's the only casualty as the Lion survives on very low HP, TPing away back towards base, is going to live. Storm Spirit, however, not so lucky, brought down by the TA, and now the Legion Commander going to get her blade stuck into MNZ. MNZ is going to end up going down. Legion Commander gets yet another kill this game. Buyback from the Storm, but to what end? He TPs down to the tier 3 tower, desperately trying to bail his team out of this, but it's way too late. He can't do anything.
This game is just not looking good. Unknown, well, I mean, they focused everything they had into the Templar Assassin. Actually, everything they had. And they didn't pick her off. Like, she got down to 50 HP. She was able to slip away. Cover from the Supernova definitely helping out. Dumping in for Pain, though, in the mid lane. They have no Finger of Death right now. They'll drain him out of mana, but here comes the Phoenix, as well as Guayo. They're going to lock down the Storm Spirit, at least try to. They're going to force him out. Now catch Excel with the duel. That's a little more free damage for Pain, all the way up to plus 198. That's an insane amount. I think the most I've seen is like 230 or something like that, but she's going to push that number and then get a little bit higher, I think, because it's 33 to 21 right now, and EGX, they are in a position to go for the high ground push since Unknown just lost their Lion, and if they lose the Storm Spirit again, it's game over. They cannot fight without their Storm, and even then, like, I don't even know what Storm is doing in this fight, just marginal amounts of damage, not comparable to that of TA or Legion.
Yeah, no, Legion's going to have a full heart. That doesn't help the case of Unknown in the slightest. They're going to get their high ground pressured with the Deso effect applied and the extra attack speed buff on Ahi. He's doing so much. This is a desperation move by the Storm. He's going to get a long zip TP back towards base, and that's all fine and good, but that's only going to delay the inevitable BKB pop by Ahi. Going strong into the Viper, diving into the base. Overgrowth will delay. There's your jump in with the Phoenix. Does have a Supernova soon. There's your duel. Even more damage for Pain, upwards of 216, and will go ahead and smack down a couple more heroes once or twice just to flex his muscles. It's the tier 3 tower, and soon after, the ranged and melee barracks are going to end up going down. They'll be forced to fall back a little bit, but the Storm just cannot delay this. They'll lift up the Viper, pull him back in. They get a stun. Pretty nice one over on the Eye. Can they actually focus him down? Blink and Echo catches out the Storm, catches out the Lion as well. The follow-up disable isn't there immediately. They'll Finger of Death into Ahi as he continues to chase in, fearing not for his life with press the attack and refraction. Why not? They'll go into the well, and Abandon comes out from Pink, and that's going to be GG. My goodness. Unknown, it looks so good at about 16 minutes into the game, but they end up letting everything fall off the wheels. They lose all momentum, and Unknown, for one reason or another, are going to lose this game number 2. It's going to go out to a third game, and not in the way that I expected.
Well, guys, EGX are going to claim game 2 slightly, a little bit of a throw. perhaps just a little bit from the unknown side, but that's going to be it here. We're going to be right back for Game 3, guys, to see who's going to advance from the American qualifying region. I'm Mikelorus. I'm joined by GrandisV, and we will both be right back in just a little bit.